What's going on? Today is Wednesday, September 20th. Today we're going to talk about and share red flags related to employment-based sponsorship. So you could be an HR, you could be a recruiter, you could be an entrepreneur, and you're wondering, how the heck am I going to get people to work for me? You're having a difficult time, and then you finally get someone that you think is a pretty good candidate, right, to help you out. And then you realize, oh shoot, the person's a foreign national. They don't have any status, ability, authorization to work here. And then you're scrambling to find a lawyer, right? That's the first thing. You need to have a lawyer on hand, ready to go, because the more you wait, just knowing how companies operate, they tend to be pretty slow to hire people. And I get it. I end up doing one of the final decisions to hire team members to help us out, to fulfill your mission, our mission, okay, to help people get legal status in America. But ultimately, because there's a long process, all right, in the interview process, you have to know if someone's a foreign national earlier on. Otherwise, honestly, in my opinion, it's probably a waste of time for many people, right? Because ultimately, a person that goes through the entire process through the interviews, and if they don't know that the company or the company doesn't know that you're foreign national, the company might, in the first place, might not even be willing to sponsor. So for the foreign national, why would you go through the entire process and then the company finally tells you, oh, sorry, we're not interested because we just don't consider sponsoring, right? So it's really better. It behooves the foreign national, the immigrant, to notify the human resources at some point earlier than later that you need sponsorship, right? And of course, it might be a little what do you call, counterintuitive, but really it's, you want to save some time because you want to focus on companies that are willing to sponsor. And many companies might not understand how to sponsor. So that's why we're here on LinkedIn today, YouTube and TikTok, to share this kind of information on the more the high level concerns that people usually have. I'm trying to figure out the angle here, but and one of them is, if you're sponsoring for H-1B, it's a temporary work visa, you don't actually have to have graduated yet. You can still be a student. And so I'm speaking as if I'm speaking to the foreign national right now, but because by the time you walk, by the time it's March for H-1B, that is the registration time period. There's a registration for about 2 weeks time, and it only costs $10 with the U.S. government, Department of Homeland Security. So that's a good thing. Of course, we charge a little fee to help with the beginning step, but if you get selected in the registration, okay, folks, during the registration, you don't have to provide evidence. You don't have to provide evidence how much you're going to get paid. You don't have to provide evidence that you have a degree, because that wouldn't make sense. The end of June is a deadline for the actual visa package, for the H-1B visa package. So meaning you don't actually have to have the degree until June, okay? And so for certain industries, especially like professional degrees, that you need the license, right, to practice medicine, be a dentist, be a lawyer, you don't have to actually have that until later. Because, I mean, it would be great, of course, for the package that you provide that in the beginning. But if you don't have it yet, USCIS will allow you opportunity to provide that evidence later. We call that request for evidence, okay? So I think that, I've heard from some people before, like, oh, I don't want to sponsor someone because they don't have all the credentials right now, right? So some people, whether it's you as the foreign national beneficiary, the professional, or even HR or you're the entrepreneur, you might not know all these things, right? So if you're interested in these kind of tips, send us a message and we're happy to share with you a link for more information or add you to our email list. All right, folks, by the way, we do offer opportunity to answer your questions. Doesn't have to be related to today's topic, but other things you need to know about red flags to avoid is when you're sponsoring for residency. Most people call it EB or perm. Preferably, it's someone who hasn't, like, if your job description requires minimum, let's say 2 years of experience, preferably you have someone that has not worked for you in that same position you're going to sponsor for more than half of that. So for us, we call that the 50% rule. So most people are not or don't have this information. So we'd rather have you to know this information in advance. So on the flip side, for foreign nationals, you might think, well, do I have to actually work for this company right now to get sponsored? Inherently, of course, the company will trust you more if you've been working for them already, right? So, and it's also strange that you might be thinking, well, do I have to, what if I'm not actually working for that company? You know, a lot of companies always ask, do I actually have to pay this person right now? No, you don't actually. There's no requirement that the foreign national has to have been working for you at the time of filing the starting for sponsorship. You know, if you want that person to work for you and they're already in America with a work permit from any other reason, maybe like a pending asylum case or something, yeah, they can work for you. But there's no requirement for that person to have started working, okay, for this to start that sponsorship. So these are just examples of things you need to know or red flags to avoid. Again, we're happy to share more information with you. You know, of course, we have a long list, but it can be overwhelming, and it depends on your situation or um, what visa type you're going for. So we're very happy to offer, since you're joining us live, we have a secret code you have to use if you want to utilize a strategy session for 15 minutes, no cost to you. We've seen many times people have been their ability to get legal status has been prevented or denied because they didn't know certain information. Now, of course, it is helpful when people ask certain questions, but situations like what I just shared, it's not a typical question that people ask a lawyer, not an immigration lawyer. So that's why we try our best to share in advance. That way you have the full knowledge to make the most appropriate decision for yourselves or your company. All right. Let's see here. So in the meantime, that's about it for LinkedIn. But again, if you're on LinkedIn, I just want to go ahead and share the code for today. And the code is WIN, WIN, or use that code because we do receive a lot of inquiries. Our CARES team that will speak with you to get some preliminary information. They're not lawyers, but they do receive a lot of inquiries. So it's really helpful for us if you share the SIGA code, and the code is WIN. That's the code for today. All right, thank you very much. And I'm going to hop off LinkedIn. Let's see if I can do this correctly. Okay, let me remove that. That should work. Okay, good. So, okay, we're still rolling on YouTube and TikTok. I figured take off LinkedIn because some people on LinkedIn don't want to hear all this other information. So let's see. Let's go to TikTok to answer some questions. And I see one to answer on YouTube. All right, way to Jana Islam. What about B1B2 that take an interview and get hired? Okay, okay. You mean maybe if you're here on B1B2 visitor visa and you get hired? Well, of course you can't work, you can't earn income when you're on B1B2. I think you might know that, or maybe you don't. Some people actually don't know that. So you can't actually work here on a B1B2. You need to apply for a work permit. So that's why you're asking this question. Unfortunately, the visa processes the process to get a work visa in America is very slow. So, but usually if it's more what we call like specialty occupation, or it doesn't have to be professional occupation, but that is a possibility. Okay. You say if your boyfriend has a trucking company, can he hire you if you visit on B1, B2? It may depend on the position. Okay. Way to Jana. So if you want to DM us, schedule a strategy session. By the way, folks, thank you so much for your questions. That means a lot to us, to me at least, because that means you trust me to answer your question. I'm sorry, I don't read Chinese. So if you want me to answer your question, I wish I could read Chinese, but you have to write in English, please. Maybe one day I can learn Chinese when I have time. I know Duolingo try to make it as easy as possible. All right. So, but yeah, the best way to contact us on YouTube, you can see our number right up here. If you're on TikTok, for some reason, I'm not able to share these kind of like quote unquote personal details. So you go to our website, greencardguys.com, or you can just DM us. We'll send you the link, and happy to do that. Okay. Butterflies. Let's see. That looks like you're filling out the 485. You don't know your mom's birth date. You've never met her. What should you put? Yeah, in certain situations like that, just put don't know or unknown. Unknown is the easiest. Um, yeah, they're not. From what I know, they're not going to deny someone just because of that, right? I think what they're trying to get at is like maybe they're trying to figure out has maybe one of your parents filed before, or certain people like that. So that's why they want to know. I think. I don't know. I've never worked for USCIS, but it's still okay. Don't. That's a great question. Don't prevent filing because you don't know certain information. Like if you're asking me, like, what if I don't know my addresses? You got to know that. That's a little different, right? Let's see. Thanks for all the questions. I will try to. By the way, again, if I don't get to your question, or if I do, but it's not as in depth of an answer as you were hoping for, it's social media. I'm trying to go very fast, so that's okay. We do offer the strategy session for 15 minutes. You can give us a call right up here. You can see the number on YouTube, or you can send us a DM. Let's see. So let me switch over to YouTube real quick to answer a question. Sorry, I don't know how to pronounce your name. You're being sponsored for EB1. So you're supposed to end with a green card. Yes, ultimately. That is the end result. So your question is, if you want to keep your green card, you want to keep your green card, but still mostly live in your country, what you do, travel to US regularly. Yes, you do have to. If you want to maintain residency, you have to live in America for at least 6 months out of the year. It's almost like in reverse. If you're outside the US for 6 months and you try to come back in, it's going to be very difficult. You have to show proof that you've been out. And some people can say, well, some people actually have told us, well, I didn't want to live outside the US. My work told me to go there. That's on you, bro. Look, the government's not telling you you can find a different job, essentially. Like, you need to take action. So, Sabrine, you have to apply for a 131. Okay. Anyone who has a residency right now, a green card, and you're thinking whether it's on vacation, tourism, visit family, or for work, you need to apply for 131 re-entry permit. Okay. It's valid for 2 years. So if you want to be out for 2 years, you can with the approved re-entry permit. Of course, if you're going to ask me, a lot of people ask me, can I apply for it and then leave, jet out? I really recommend you wait until it gets approved. I think on average, we've gotten approved in like 6 months. So if you already have that idea and that job allows you to work remotely, that's cool. That's good for you. But you need to apply for that 131. Okay. You want to preserve your residency because we have received a lot of calls that people have abandoned the residency. And look, it's not like you're trying to abandon it, but the customs, when you come back to the airport, they're going to claim that you abandoned it. They're also going to, hot tip here, let's say you're already outside. It's like basically shit out of luck, basically, right? You come back to America, customs officer will ask you to sign this form called the 407, abandonment of your residency. Do not sign that form. Do not make it easy for them, okay? Do not make it easy for the customs officer, because as soon as you sign that, I don't think there's a way to reverse it. And then you're going to have to hop back on a plane, right? So don't sign it. They can't force you to sign it. So what will happen typically is that you get referred to secondary inspection. At that point, you're already probably in secondary inspection. And then you're going to get a letter in the mail or maybe on the spot to go to court eventually, because the immigration judge will be the person, the official, to eventually revoke your status. But you just don't want to put yourself in that situation in the first place. So thank you, Supreme, for asking this question. I need to make a separate video about this. All right. Sorry, IK, finally getting to your question here. You just joined. Welcome to the show. You got F1 STEM, currently employed. How can I move ahead with work permit, I guess, or visa? You could try to get a job from that, or have you talked to HR or supervisor with the current company to see if they can sponsor you? But typically you say STEM, right? So first thing I think of is most likely eligible for H-1B. Then the thing is that for H-1B, and then but yeah, we really recommend people not to wait last minute, because IK, you might already know, I may have mentioned earlier, but registration for H-1B specialty occupations is in March, the first 2 weeks of March, more or less. So we just get a lot of requests, so we don't recommend waiting until that time. All right. Let's see here. Supreme, I hope you're still are you in the US right now or outside? It sounds like your EB process is still in the ongoing anyway, so you're not in this, fortunately, not in this catch-22 situation. If you prove that you work for an American company, but in your country, would it be helpful to get a reentry process easier? That question is phrased as if you're already outside America. And yeah, when you're in America, so you're going to have to fly into America to get that green card, and then apply for reentry permit 131 form ASAP, because they want you to take your biometrics, fingerprints, to check your criminal background history. Why is it necessary for 131? I don't know. I think it's ridiculous, but it's just part of the process. So hopefully that helps. But yeah, if you're in a situation where you're already outside the US and then you haven't applied for the 131 and it's been more than 6 months outside of the United States, you're gonna be SOL probably. Yeah, you can bring your paperwork to show you work for a company, but technically by law, they don't have to let you in. Okay. All right, Ken's. We're based in Houston, Texas. We have attorneys all across the United States, but yeah, our physical office is in Houston, Texas. I meant to introduce myself earlier. I forgot to do that. My name is John Ting. I practice immigration law in all 50 states, America, and across the world. We do accept clients that live anywhere in the world. We're very blessed and thankful that you consider us to help you and even ask questions. It means a lot to us. We greatly appreciate it. But some people ask, like, do I have to meet you in person? No, you don't have to meet me in person. We do a video call just like this live show. We use Dialpad, Zoom, whatever is easier for you. But ultimately, you don't have to meet the lawyer. Whoever you hire, it doesn't have to be us. You don't have to have someone face to face. But I know some people do appreciate that more. So that's up to you. All right. You're Bangladesh American. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Happy to help. Let's see here. Brittany, I see some of your comments here. It looks like, what was your first comment here? Shane Thomas, what's going on? How long after USCIS approved your I-130 before they approved 45? Assuming you're the sponsor is a U.S. citizen, then typically it's like the next day. Does it happen for everyone? No. But if it's someone who's sponsored by a resident, a green card holder, it's not that quick, because they want to make sure if the beneficiary, the foreign national, has maintained their status, non-immigrant status. So a lot of people get denied because they missed that requirement. So that's why I always mention it when I get a question like that. You've been waiting 8 months for your EAD receipt. For C9 for VAWA, is that normal? Unfortunately, yeah, it's normal. I think we had several around that time. We do try to do a good job of keeping track of that. We're not a tech company, but we do try to keep track of it. But I'll ask a team member what our most recent one is. Yeah, and unfortunately, C9, okay, that's good. Yeah, but that's normal. But if it's been like 12 months, then you might want to consider checking USCIS database processing timetable, see if your case is ready, or that 765 application is ready to submit an inquiry. The government does a really good job, unfortunately, of blocking people from submitting inquiry based on your receipt date. Let's see here. For those that just joined, we do offer a strategy session for 15 minutes at no cost to you. We really recommend you use a secret code. Today's code is WIN, W-I-N, because that's what we do, okay? If we think your case is not so good, like in the sense that, not that you're a bad person or something, if it's not winnable and not a harder possibility of getting approved, we're really, we don't want to waste anyone's money, okay? But we really do think outside the box to see if we can get you an approval. But we don't like to make any assumptions. Okay, we really go through the eligibility with people in the strategy session. Okay, Shane, you've been waiting 1 week now. Yeah, not horrible, but yeah, again, assuming that the safe assumption is that if the sponsor is a U.S. citizen, then it should be sooner than later. All right. Let's go to the next. All right. Maria is doing a wonderful job helping us pin some questions on TikTok. And thank you so much for the questions. There's a bunch here. Brittany, I see yours. Husband filed for visa. The husband, the embassy. We've been in touch, Brittany, and I know that he's filed for a visitor visa. Called and pick up the passport. When he got there, they said I wasn't ready. They went back on Monday, and they said they will send it to him. What do I think? Is that a good sign? It's hard to say. I'm not quite sure yet, because typically when you pick up the passport, the visa should be in there. So that's strange. I do think it's a little bit strange that they may have already said pick it up when the visa's not there. So I'm not sure. Okay, I can't tell you. Not really sure. I wish I knew the answer on that. Because in fact, I mean, we received inquiries from many of y'all that said the embassy or consulate hasn't even provided a visa. It's been like 6+ months and they still have your passport. So that's also frustrating to hear, because some of y'all gotta travel. So where are you sitting around? That's crazy that the government is doing this. So it's been going on since before the pandemic, but they've been using the pandemic excuse a lot for not issuing the visa for those who are abroad, right? It's ridiculous. It just goes through like immediate relatives to all the way around for other classifications. Let's see here. Okay, Maria, I already answered this one here. Let's go to the next question. Oh, okay, Brittany. He asked, what do you do for a living? Yeah, that's pretty important, because for visitor visa, because they want to make sure that he's going to go back to his country, right? Because if he says he doesn't have a job, then it's less likely that your spouse, I don't remember if you're married already or not, but your spouse would have to go back. They want to make sure he goes back to his country. Okay. How long is processing time now for family sponsorship? It depends on GI, depends on the type of family relationship, because that affects the, is it what we call immediate relative, or is it family preference? If it's family preference, it takes a hell of a long time, because there's a visa limitation. There's a limit on the number of visas to issue out every year because of Congress, based on law. How long is it taking to renew DACA? It's hard to say. I mean, normally it's like 1 or 2 months on average, fortunately. But what happened last year is different than this year, or even like the season. So, but you said renew DACA, so you already have it. So that's good, at least. I believe you should have an automatic extension, at least for your work permit, possibly. You want to check that out on the USCIS policy page, okay? Let's see. How long is waiting for EB3 right now? PD, September 2022. Pakistan category was current the time filed. Yeah, unfortunately, it's not. It doesn't matter what it was before, but right now it's still. Let's see if I can pull it up, the visa bulletin for y'all. Well, you're on TikTok anyway, but I'd like to pull up the visa bulletin. Let's see. The upcoming one right now is October. It's already been released. I'm just looking here. Let me see if I can share my screen for those on YouTube. By the way, thanks so much for tuning in. I know some of these questions might not be as relevant to you, but I will try my best to get to your question. Let's scroll down for user 5844444 on TikTok. You scroll down here. Okay, for those, you says Pakistani national, EB3. They're working on cases that, starting to work on cases that have a prior date of before February 2023. Okay, so that's what you show here, PD September 2022. But the visa itself doesn't have to be actually issued until it shows on Chart A For you, you said September 22. Yeah, so you got a couple months out. They're working to only allowing visas issued for those that PD date July 2022. Right now, if you're just joining, I'm talking about EB2 for all chargeable areas. So the left column, if you're referring to the visa bulletin. All right. So hopefully that's helpful. Visa bulletin is one of those complex topics. So always happy to help explain it. My sunshine, that is music to my ears. Congratulations on your 601A being approved. Tell us, how long did you have to wait for that? Was that 40 months ish? It's very unfortunate people have to wait that long. What's the next step? Okay, you got to essentially, I can't walk you through the entire process or we just represent you, but essentially you have to notify National Visa Center that your 601A has been approved, have an approval notice handy so they can hopefully, I mean, because you filed the waiver already, you had to have already paid the fees, the 445 for the NVC stage, and then you want to make sure that they have updated tax returns from your sponsor, things of that nature. Okay, because essentially now that it's been approved, you want them to, practically speaking, schedule you or get you in queue for the interview. Okay, so hopefully that helps. Some people don't know, but when you file a waiver 601A, National Visa Center needs to know that. You need to notify them. Okay, so Sunshine, you're already done that. So you're at the very close, much closer to the end of this process. Happy for you. There's a lot of people waiting, unfortunately, unreasonable time. If you're already in a situation where you've been waiting at least more than 15 months and you filed the 601A, give us a call, all right? We're happy to consider if your case is ready for a lawsuit. All right, let's see here. But yeah, if you already waited like 4 years, I mean, it could, who knows? Maybe you could get the decision much sooner. Is there a minimum petitioner salary which NVC looks at? Yeah, it depends on the 864P. So if you Google search 864P, depending on your household size, that's your number. The number depends on the number of dependents in the household, which includes the foreign national. Great question. So I can't just give you one number right now because it'd be different for everyone. I don't want to confuse anyone else. And if that sponsor doesn't exceed expected salary or estimated salary for the year 2023, it does not necessarily have to be the salary from the past years. Okay. So hopefully that helps. Okay, Crammy, USCIS asked you for your medical exam and you mailed it to USCIS. What does it mean? It means that most likely your interview is going to be waived. That would be great. That would be wonderful news. Okay. That'd be wonderful news. Oh, shoot. Someone is calling me. Okay, that was weird. Okay. All right. Am I back on TikTok and YouTube? Something happened on my phone and it disconnected for a second. But yeah, if I'm still on, it looks like I am. Cramming, yeah, medical RFE, you sent it back. That typically means that your interview is going to be waived and they're going to make a decision. Are they going to make a decision soon? We've had that happen, but it doesn't happen for everyone to get that decision that quickly. Some people I've known that message here share their experience. Thank you so much for sharing your experience on what's going on with your case because it helps other people understand in general. But yeah, some people have been waiting like 6+ months, unfortunately. But the intent is that they will waive your interview. Because in the past, before they started waiving interviews, they would send a courtesy notice, not an RFE, a courtesy notice to say, bring that medical exam to the interview. So if you didn't have that language on there, which you probably didn't, if you sent it back right now already, then your interview might be waived. All right, Jen Pot, after you've been documentary qualified, most people that are familiar with terms, we call it DQ'd. After DQ'd, how long does your case be ready for the interview to be scheduled? It depends on your country and nationality, their caseload. I don't have the answer, unfortunately. It's $1 million question. It's like if I'm going to win the lotto, unfortunately, I don't know that. But if it's been definitely more than 12 months, that's when we can file a lawsuit. Okay. If it's been more than 12 months after being DQ'd, we can file a mandamus lawsuit for unreasonable delay. Hopefully that doesn't happen to your case. All right. Let's see here. And it's a kind of crappy situation. Like, if someone says, like, even on TikTok or YouTube, shares an experience like, oh, I got my interview in 2 months. And even if it's the same country, it's not always like apples to apples. You might not get the same treatment in terms of moving into the next stage. Okay. All right, GI, thanks for your follow-up. You said sister to brother. Yeah, that's a family preference. So that's F4 category. So just let me share my screen again. Oh, you're on TikTok. But I'm sharing my screen on for those on YouTube. Chart B, for those that are outside the United States, Chart B is what you follow for family-based. F4, they're working on cases where the petition was filed in March 2008. Okay, so GI, don't let this be a situation where you hear a long wait time. Don't let that be a situation like, oh, forget it, I'm not going to file for my brother or my sister or whatnot. Consider it like a Christmas gift, okay, folks, or a birthday gift. Just file the dang petition for your sibling, because the filing petition gets your family member a priority date, basically like a ticket in line. But unfortunately, that ticket in line it's gonna be a long time. So you might as well file a petition now. And in fact, the reason I kind of say it like this, like as a birthday gift or something, a Christmas gift, is because the petitioner is the only one that needs to sign the petition. Your foreign national sibling doesn't need to sign anything yet for step number 1. Okay. So even if you have a sibling who says, no, forget it then, I don't care. Now look, I know when people mature in age and grow older, they tend to want to come to America later. So you might as well save that long wait time by filing the petition now, okay? Especially for family preference. All right, Ricky. Can you apply EB2 NIW with bachelor in less than 10 years? That's gonna be tough. But your startup benefits veterans. Okay, yeah. Well, benefit veterans. That's a good start. We could talk about that. Okay, Ricky, send us fill out the form on our website, Green Card Guys, and we'll take a look at it. It's not going to be a full evaluation because we do charge money for that. But just having a conversation with you, we can get a pretty good idea. Okay, at least to start off with. So, folks, if you're wondering about strategy session, we do offer, or consultation, we do offer for free, 15 minutes. Okay. Of course, if you have more questions, that's going to take more than 15 minutes. I get it. We do charge a consultation fee in that situation. Or if you want to speak directly with me, I appreciate it. But I do charge for that because my time is more limited than my premier associates. Okay. They can assist you just as well as I could and point you in a better direction because I train them and they've already had experience before joining our team anyway. All right. Life 024. If you got green card approved and 3 months later you quit due to no growth opportunity, what and no increase, I guess you're trying to say what happens. So there is a law that says that there has to be a bona fide job offer. There doesn't mention. It doesn't mention. I don't recall Congress actually saying that there's a specific penalty if someone quits and you just got the green card. Essentially, of course, fact wise, it's always better if someone stays with that job longer. But people always ask, is there a minimum number? I can't say if there's a minimum because it's not set in stone in law, right? And we haven't had anyone tell us that, oh, I got my green card revoked, fortunately. So we don't have any case examples like that. So it's difficult for us to give a black and white number. Okay, Annie, you got married and came to U.S. now waiting for EAD. What are your chances you might get a job with a visa sponsor? I don't know what you mean, because when you say visa sponsor, that makes it sound like you don't. Are you married to a U.S. citizen and you're waiting for EAD based on that case? And you look okay. So yeah, this is a situation, Annie, that schedule a consultation, okay? Because we need to understand your situation better. Or unless you're trying to say like, okay, yeah, you did file a case through marriage to a U.S. citizen, or a chance to get a visa, to work. Yeah, you're more likely to work if you have you're more likely to get what's it called, a job if you at least have a work permit. Okay, so you gotta doesn't in general, I just always recommend people to just start searching for a job, even if you don't have the work permit yet, but it's pending, so that at least by the time you get to a certain point, you can tell them, that company, I have an application pending for work permit. It's most like, I think, cautionary. Most likely you're going to get approved, but so it's always good to have a candidate on file, at least in my perspective, and ready to go in terms of that. So don't wait. You don't have to necessarily wait to look for jobs until you get that work permit. So you just call and say, we got a discount for you. I wouldn't call it discount, but tell them the code. Okay. You can tell them, hey, I saw John on TikTok or YouTube. I'd like to get scheduled for a strategy session. I have a secret code. Today's code is WIN, WIN. Let's see. Shane, should you get a lawyer? Okay, I'm going to pin his comment. Should you get a lawyer? I don't remember your situation. I'm just going through we're going through questions here. Essentially, I mean, in immigration, many lawyers are not going to like me for saying this. In immigration, there are scenarios where you can file for yourself. Like, we don't help with visitor visa. Okay. The government, just to kind of give you an idea, it's a visitor visa. That link is online on the travel.state website, right? I feel bad charging X amount of dollars for something like that. But if someone's a current client and you need help with visitor visa, we'll consider it. But we really reduce the number of case types that we offer for services. But in general, if it is a case type that we do offer a quote, in general, for you to know, it's essentially having like a lawyer. I don't want to say like readily available, like within an hour, but we do respond to emails. We try our best 24 to 48 hours, 1 to 2 days. If we don't reply to your email, for example, you can submit a support ticket. We try to think like a tech company that way. That's usually the worst case scenario. Or you can just go ahead and self-schedule appointment with us, right? So the benefit of having a lawyer is we do this stuff every day. We're experienced. Will there be a situation that might be new to us? It could be. USCIS could throw us a curveball, but at least you have an experienced team behind you, and it's not just me. It's not just one of my premier associates attorneys. We work as a team. We're a unit, right? So especially if it's like someone's on vacation or out sick or just busy doing other work, and you schedule a meeting or you emailed us, someone else on the team is readily available to respond to you or talk with you in the meeting, right? So that's the benefit of having Ting Law Group on your side. Yeah, hopefully that helps you. Do other law firms think like that in terms of those 3 customer service options? Not so much. I tell a lot of my lawyer friends to do that, but they want to do it the old school way. Okay, you have a work K visa? You have a work visa? Well, K visa is K1 for fiance. Can you apply for a green card after a year in the US? I don't know what you mean by work K visa. Maybe, yeah. So can you follow up with that one? Okay. Let's see here. Let's see. Maria, can you find another question here? I'm going to be on for I can answer 3 more questions. Okay. No, Maria, I don't know that. I need follow up on that one. So I removed that one. Okay. Is it safe or higher chance of getting GC to get married in the States rather than US, outside the US? It depends. It's hard to say. It depends. It's not so much inside or outside the US, but if you want, well, I can see what you're saying, because a lot of people in general get significant delays. Significant number of cases are delayed out when the person lives outside the US. So if you're wondering, well, how can I apply in the US if I'm not in the US? Send us a DM, schedule a strategy session. No cost to you for 15 minutes, okay? I've explained this on the live show before, but it's always better to understand better when it's a one-on-one conversation, all right? But it is essentially better to get it apply for it when you're in the US. Okay. But everyone's situation is different. So let's see here. What's up, Pella on YouTube? Good to see you. Welcome back. Okay. Okay, I say life, you're welcome. Happy to give you that feedback. Or you're welcome. Let's see here. All right, appreciate it. Thank you so much. And if you don't mind, tap the screen, share our channel, follow us. So if you enjoy the tips, the way I shared information, at least. If I didn't get to your question, I apologize. I try my best to go live every day, Monday through Friday, 12 p.m. Central. If you're looking for a different time, maybe in the evening, I usually don't do that. I think I may have done that one time just because I have kids. And they currently still sleep in the same bed with me. I admit it. I haven't solved that situation. So if you have tips on that, let me know. All right. All right. Thank you so much. I greatly appreciate it. And I'll see y'all tomorrow. Take care. Tap the screen. Give us a follow.